Well, I strongly believe that you have heard two speakers and you have had the idea about the BRIC scenario and the legal scenario and the patent rights and everything. But I am here, I represent one of the biggest and oldest organization, and the FICCI, I think some of our dais sharing dignitaries know about it. I would only like to say that we strongly believe that this meeting of ours will bear fruitful results and everybody will have a takeaway which can be fructified in near future by investment in India through direct foreign investment or joint ventures or otherwise by any of the companies present over here or any more, for which I think Mr. Bonani can be one of the contact point. I would like to discuss in brief the complete scenario of foreign investments in India vis-a-vis global scenario, which has been emerging as one of the most promising and investment destination in the planet at this time. I have one, well, I'll go out of my speech to give you some presentation, and that would be more. This is the strong fundamental, driving economy, robust GDP growth, which we have. Inclusive growth, service-driven growth, over 50% contribution to GDP. GDP projected to the corrupted to USD 4.5 trillion by 2020. This is the overall view on the established service capabilities and emerging manufacturing hub. You can see where is the India standing with 8.5 global manufacturing competitive index, which is showing. Well, India ranks first as far as emerging manufacturing hub. We have a strong fundamental driving India's economy, huge domestic market. And this has been the survey done by Ernst & Young, which says that by 2025 to 2026, we are 2015 and 16, it will be 113.8 million households and 547 million people. Now with that, you can see the requirements of our lifestyle, consumer market developments and other domestic market development will take place. Now we have huge skilled manpower which is available in science and technology manpower in the world, one of the best. You see in most of the US strong scientific research laboratories or otherwise, most of the positions are being held by Indians. And I think this shows that how strong knowledge capabilities which we have. And similarly, we have high education system where we have 26,000 institutes across various fields of these studies. Well, I'm just going highlights, and I think if anybody wants to have, we can have discussion later. Now, this is the investment destination government initiative which have taken place, roadmap for transitioning of IFRs, new direct tax code, infrastructure initiatives, corporate governance initiation, India's global integration FTAs, national e-governance programs, and unique identification projects. These are few key FDI info sectors which have come into various fields. Service sector, telecommunication is one of the high area of development which have taken place. Construction activities, housing, real estate, which is infrastructure. And we are very strongly going with power, non-conventional energy. And another sector which is automotive, industrial machinery, metallurgical industries, and computer software and hardwares. These are the few of the sectors which are, besides this, we have many other. Like if we talk about individual infrastructure, we have USD 1 trillion investment potential during 2012 to 2017. Now, under the most of the things which is important is that under PPP model, the Government of India has given a lot of support, And that is the most encouraging side of investment, which is attracting investment from foreign investors. Major sectors, as I have already said, in the infrastructure: road, highways, power, railways, ports, infrastructure, airports. To infrastructure, road, again, the highways, we have improved road conditions to a great extent. Earlier, we used to have single roads. We have now 6 or 8 lanes roads, which has improved the connectivity and the fastness in business growth. And this is 100% FDI permitted, investment opportunity, development projects, logistics, and right. Again, this is the power side. You know that power position in India is not very good, and there is an immense scope in the power sector. Though we are currently at 172 gigawatt and expected 325. And it is expected the investment during 2012 to 2017, US dollar $235.1 million, and 100% FDI permitted in generation, transmission, distribution other than atomic energy. This is railway side, railways. I am covering almost all. You will find that you have enough scope in understanding what is India all about. So you will have this complete ideas. We are now, with so much population going up, we have ultimately going for multi-story buildings, which is again competing with many of the other countries. And with that, housing we have increased to the multi-story to the extent of almost 40 stories or 45 stories, which is the highest in some of the parts of the country. Of course, there are certain limitations. By keeping some of the norms of certain cities, there are certain limitations in stories, but more or less in the metro towns, the heights have been given due permissions by this. Now, this is, you can say, we have in housing 20 million new units in 5 years. Commercial, we have 180 million square feet by 2012. Retail, we have almost all brands in India now. Most of the popular and world famous brands they place themselves in market, and this is one of the very big scope of various foreign investments coming and basing themselves so that their cost of production and the improvisation of profit increases. Because certainly the exports and imports, of course, for India is going to have more taxation and more botheration and transportation taking time and out of way. So this will help. And hotel and hospitality, well, this is the sector because India is a hub for tourism. And various important places in India attracts huge tourists. So the hospital and hospitality sector has been given the industry status, and this is run by Industry Act now. This is expected at 50,000 new rooms in 5 years will be coming. Now this we are talking of construction equipment. Well, this is the construction equipment. We can see what are the kind of, because when the construction goes, naturally the equipment will be required. So this is one of the area of interest some of the investors will have. This is iron and steel. Well, robust growth in infrastructure, automobile and construction sector are leading exponential growth in the sector. Well, India's per capita steel consumption 40 kg, much below global average of 198 kg. So there is expected to grow steadily. So there is here 100% FDI permitted. This is a chemical sector which we are talking. Well, this is leader in production of high quality generic drugs. Sector size $35 billion US. Major raw material component sources available in India. Because this is one of the area where Mr. Vaidyanathan was talking that we are very strong in pharmaceuticals and chemicals. So we have 100% FDI permitted under automatic route. energy efficient technologies which are available. There is a Government of India which is giving support to the solar or other projects which are very, very proactive for Indian investment. And this can be one of the very proactive side of looking at the investment side. Because this reduces the energy consumption by 5 to 10%, and that is expected by 2014, and we have a lot of investments coming in this area. Automobile and automotive components, well, we have most of the brands available manufacturing in India. They are looking for OE components and the components manufacturing, auto components. So this is again 100% FDI permitted. And we have this R&D in the electric vehicles and low emission. And we have, when we were talking about railway, we have metros which have come up very recently, and they are very good operating, and they're very, very efficiently working now. Well, telecommunication we have improved, but there is still a scope, because still we remain to be catching up fast. Again, this is also 100% FDI permitted for equipment manufacturing. Now, how the evolution of the FDI policies have taken place over a period of 10 years, I think this chart will show you that how before 1991, they allowed selectively up to 40% limited sectors. 1991, economic reforms process started, FDI up to 51% under automatic route in 35 priority sectors. In 1997, a relook was taken place, and that made more than 50%, 112 sectors, selected sectors were taken into FDI under automatic route. With 2000 up to 100% under automatic route in all sectors, a small negative list. Well, this is the whole thing, so thereby this is the most plus situation for all to have the investments. Now this is a comparative chart which will show you what is negative list and what is the automatic route and government FIPB route which is there. So this can be explained when we have the roundtable discussions. Well, in this we can talk. 100% FDI, there is a list, infrastructure sectors, automatic route up to 100% FDI I have given, and 100% automatic route, but less than 100% FDI, insurance, domestic airlines, telecom services, private sector banks, sector under government, FI route, defense production, these are all under government. These are not open. This is how an entry can be for foreign corporate. This will give you an idea about how the foreign investment can be brought as foreign company, head office representative, local subsidiary, as an Indian company, branch office, liaison office or project and wholly owned subsidiary, joint venture, limited liability. FDI allowed sector is 100% allowed through automatic route. So this is one area which will give you an idea how the entry can be possible for by FDI. These are the policies which are there, and they are basically available on web also. Now, I just like to say what is Invest India. Invest India is set up an official investment facilitation agency for India in December 2009. Set up as a not-for-profit joint venture between Central Government, Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, Industry of Commerce and Industry, and State Government. Apex Chamber of Commerce, Federation of Indian Chambers, that is my organization. We are the sole responsible for bringing the investments to the state for the country, and a unique platform for assisting investors from across sectors and geographies. Now, this is our Minister of Commerce, Government of India. Well, I think he said that promoting foreign investments in India in a focused, comprehensive and structured manner, while acting as a first reference point to provide quality input and support services to the investors. and there is a need for promoting foreign investment in India. That's, he has said, and I think we are following this particular thing. Investment in India in a structured manner and provide quality input and support services to investors, particularly the SMEs, family-owned overseas enterprises. Invest India would respond to this urgent imperative. With this logic, the Invest India has been formed. Now here is how this Invest India functions. So you would be interested in how the things move and how fast it can move, why it can move. The supporting focal points, India State, Indian embassies, consulate and foreign countries. They are basically Invest India is dealing with. And board, there is a chairman, secretary, which is the highest body of administrative concern of the Government of India. Secretary is supposed to be the highest authority of any investment taking decisions, which is the 6 members each from industry and government, secretariat, that is ourselves, and then Invest India partners, consulting legal firms, Ernst Young, Grant Thornton, KPMG, Price Waterhouse, Wesh, Ashwit, and advocates. These are the consultants which are working with us. Service to investors, what kind of services we are providing? Pre-investment consultation, responding to queries related to investments in India, coordinating with the state governments for information on investment location, help in investors visit, execution, facilitating business-to-business linkages, providing support for getting approval from the central and state government, aftercare, resolution of investors' grievances, expansion of operations. So it comprises of entire services which are being provided by us. Now, of course, this is my email ID, which is there, and then that is it. And I like to have one more presentation given. Can I go to another one? I represent Rajasthan, which is one of the destinations for investments. Now, I will tell you, this is how Rajasthan looks like. We have, you see, Mahindra World City, SEZ. We have Honda Shell Car, Infosys, golf courses coming up. This is from the Birla Institute of Technology, shoppings and things like that. These are the malls which are coming up. This is one of the very important estate and very near to the Delhi, which is about 240 kilometers. There is a big project which has come up with the Delhi Industrial Mumbai Corridor. There is an investment which is looking, and we are looking for investment to the state of Rajasthan. A little while ago, my moderator has told you that in 2008, I had brought 1,600 million investment to the state of Rajasthan, out of which 50% already implemented. And they are into process balance. Now, geographically, what is the proximity area and largest state? It is one of the largest state of the country. And it's about 10.4% of India's total area, and population is 69 million in 2011, 5.7% of India's population. Gross state domestic production, INR 1961 billion in US dollar is 46 billion, and 2011 it's 4% of the GDP. Growth rate is going to be 7.6% average growth rate in 5 years, last 5 years. Now, this is how it is placed, a strategically located state, and this is next to Delhi. And this is the north, situated in north. And one of the biggest hub, as far as we are focusing mainly on automotive, automobile, energy, electronics, and of course, the food and agri and food processing, and of course, textile again. Well, I'll run through very fast, and anything in the round table we can do. This is the per capita income in 2010, registering in the increase of 8.3 over previous years at constant price. And we have a huge investment expected in the state of Rajasthan. We have excellent connectivity, well connection by rail, road and air and major markets in the country. The state has 3 operational airports, which is Jaipur, Jodhpur, Udaipur. Direct flights to all cities in India, including Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Calcutta, Mumbai, Pune.
international air connectivity, direct flight with Dubai, Singapore, Sharjah, Abu Dhabi and Kuwait. These are the few more have come up, which is not listed in this. Connection to the intimated export market via Jawaharlal Nehru Port, Mumbai, Kandla Port, Mundra Port of Gujarat through rail and road. And we have National Highway 3 and 8, which is highly connected. There is upcoming, as I said, Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor will enhance high-speed access to the ports and northern and western markets of India. Again, this is the same in continuation with that. State has 20 national highways and 85. This state is one of the best as far as road connectivity and roads are concerned, as compared to other parts of the country. We have 4 to 6 lane, as I said. Now it is now further going to 8 lanes, which in 261 express highway between Jaipur, Delhi. Adequate power availability, installed capacity is 9,304.18 megawatt, and we have this expected to be power surplus state in 2013 and 14. This again, I was talking about the green renewable energy. There is a vast scope which is there, and there any investor can look at in this particular sector, which is most jailed and supported by government. And we are the people who are promoting this, and we support this particular sector. So any of you who are interested in this sector could be, I'll fast. Japanese investment zone, as we were talking, I think I had a meeting, 2 meetings yesterday, and I was telling that these are the few of the companies who have already come, and we have made a Japanese zone. And this is in Neemrana, which is very much about 100 kilometers from Delhi and very adjacent to Gurgaon. You have Mostin, Nissin, Emerson, Daikin, Danichi, Akuni, Nippon. These are all there. They've already started their productions. Easy availability of skilled manpower. Well, I think yesterday there was a question, so I think Amir group can have this look of the skilled labor availability. One of the lowest manpower cost. Rajasthan is 576 US dollar per month is average cost manpower per average manpower cost. Well, Rajasthan has the biggest mineral resources available, and this is one of the biggest strength of Rajasthan. They are the leading producers of cement grade limestone and steel grade limestone. And we have 79 kinds of minerals, of which 58 are being commercially exploited. Second highest cement producing state in India, total capacity of 41 million tons per annum. This is the, what are the kinds of minerals we have, major minerals and percentage of India production, so you can compare. Now, this is the basically dedicated freight corridor when we are making, and what kind of a, the connectivity will develop, that it will have the connectivity Jain port, so movability of the product and the connectivity will be faster. So this will be a great advantage for the state of Rajasthan as well as the investors who come to Rajasthan. Now this is the area which I would like to just take 1 minute to explain, that Khushkheda Neemrana is the Bhiwadi area, is the most nearest area to Gurgaon. And this is the most developing area. Second in line is Jaipur Dausa, which is just about 40 kilometers from Jaipur towards Agra Road. And then we have Kishangarh Ajmer, which is a mineral base, our state. And then we have Rajman, Bhilwara, and then we have Pali Marwad. These are the few of the areas which we look for investments and we give support. As I told, that automotive sectors is emerging hub, and we are fully supporting with a lot of enthusiasm from the government as well as from our side. This is again, what are the products we have? Honda, we have Federal, Ashok Leyland, Myco, Honda, NBC, Eicher, These are all various companies which are based in Rajasthan. IT, ITS, as I told you, we have all. We have Infosys, we have Deutsche Bank, we have Genpact, we have everybody there. These are the few of the existing players which are into solar manufacturing, which are already there. These are existing planned projects and potential suppliers. Now, solar manufacturing advantages in Rajasthan, these are some of the major advantages which can be derived in Rajasthan. Ceramic, we have already talked. We have mineral base, so we have very rich ceramic and glass, excellent availability of raw material. So this can be one of the very strong area of plus. Now, this is the Saint-Gobain. As I told you, we have Saint-Gobain, a very big plant come up there. It's about almost 5,000 crores which has come up, and it's one of the very big estate. Apparel, we talked about it. And gems and jewelry is a hub again. A strong law and order and peaceful industrial relations, key policy interventions. And well, this is the CU in Rajasthan. Right, thank you.